We all make choices about alcohol. Kids make choices whether to drink or not.
Bye, Dad.
Bye-bye.
Remember, I'm going to Alex's party tonight and sleeping over.
You have fun. Hey, remind me about that party again?
And adults make choices whether to talk about it. That's true of parents and every other trusted adult in a kid's life. Kids want to know our expectations, and they want honest answers in everyday conversations. So talk with your kids and help lead them on a positive path. Because when you talk, they hear you.
Would you like to work closer to home, save money on gas, and be rewarded for your hard work and attendance? Then Bellisio Foods is looking for you. That's right, Bellisio Foods is now hiring for multiple positions and shifts with great employee benefits, an on-site health clinic, competitive wages, and advancement opportunities. Bellisio Foods is a company that truly values their employees. Apply online at belisiofoods.com/careers.
Well, happy Friday, TGIF, Pete Wilson.
We're here. How about that?
We are here. And so, did you notice anything about James and I today?
Same sweatshirts.
So I walk in this morning. Come here, James. So I walk in this morning and Courtney goes, "Aw," and I'm like, "What?" She's like, "Oh, you'll see." I'm like, we are such dorks.
It just happened, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I hope so.
Okay. Well, hey, it's the first thing you came to in the closet. It's
Did your people call my people, or what happened, James?
We're gonna have to start having a night before text chain and make sure we don't.
What is everyone wearing tomorrow?
Never question the production values and homework that goes into putting this show on. Never question that. You can't see him, but Dylan's sitting over there. He could have one of those total media shows.
I mean, if Dylan,
I'm not going to tell you whether he does or not, but he could.
I was going to say, if Dylan came out with a shirt that didn't say Rick and Morty on it, we would be shocked.
Well, I thought the memo said pink shirts.
Well, I think it looks fantastic.
That was my memo. You guys didn't get the memo.
Evidently.
You wear pink
on Tuesdays, we wear pink.
Yeah, you wear pink on Tuesdays.
No, wait, Wednesdays. Wednesdays, we wear pink.
Wednesdays, okay. All right.
Yes.
Well, I didn't get that memo either.
Do you know what movie that's from? Put you on the spot.
Dylan,
do you know what movie that's from?
Wait, what was it?
On Wednesdays, we wear pink. Do any of our viewers know? I'd be really sad if somebody doesn't know, because James and I immediately knew. You don't even go here? No? Okay.
to be fair, I've not seen Mean Girls either.
You just gave it away, James. No, it's Mean Girls.
It looks like Jeremiah got it.
Good job, Jeremiah.
I
Yes.
think he got it.
Well, Men's Girls is not exactly what it's called. That darned autocorrect.
Okay, now here's a point I'm going to make right here. Jeremiah is pumping out some stories for me, but it looks like to me he's watching TV.
That's right. Oh, Jeremiah, you just got so busted. You're supposed to be working and you're playing on your computer.
Let me tell you what, the man is so talented. He can multitask.
He can. You're right. I'll give him that.
I take it back.
Well, we didn't come here to talk about sweatshirts or Mean Girls or Pink or anything like that, but you do have some news, Pete Wilson, to talk about.
We do have some news, and okay, it's been several days since we brought up about the Just Go West Road investigation.
Yes,
and that, of course, involves the death of William Beach Jr.
Yes.
He was the man who was barricaded inside the residence at 1818 Just Go West Road on January the 31st. Stalemate, very tense. The sheriff's office and other law enforcement agencies got a search warrant. After, they couldn't get him to come out and surrender, they did make entrance with a search warrant, and a short time later, Mr. Beach was shot by a Jackson County Sheriff's Office deputy, died short time later at Holzer Medical Center, Jackson Hospital. Ever since then, really that evening, January 31st on, it has been under investigation by the Ohio BCI, the Ohio Bureau of Criminal Investigation and
Yeah, brought in
Identification.
the big dogs
Right,
for that
and
one.
we've been able to report some things through a 911 call and a search warrant that has been released. Really, the Ohio BCI, they've been very responsive when I've asked for updates, but no information because it is an active and ongoing investigation.
Sure.
And I asked again yesterday, and guess what? It is an active and ongoing investigation that has not been concluded. I mean, I do get a response, and
Hey.
Mr. Steve Irwin there, who is the spokesman,
They're nice when they blow you off, right?
Well, he deals with media in 88 counties.
Yeah.
So I do appreciate the responsiveness
This
there.
isn't the only this isn't the only case they're dealing with,
Right.
So.
I know. The questions remain there. People want to know all the details of what happened in there. And whenever that investigation is complete, that report, I understand, will become public record. There may not be, a formal news release or whatever, or a press conference or anything, but it will be for the record and accessible, I assume, not only to the press, but to the public as well.
Okay.
Now, after the investigation is over, we'll repeat ourselves on how this is going to work. One of the aspects, of course, Mr. Beach is deceased. So, there's no investigation as to, any criminal charges against him, of course. But the question is about the fact that he was shot by a Jackson County Sheriff's Office deputy. That aspect, of course, is the main thing in the investigation. When the investigation is over, the Ohio BCI, who did practically all the legwork, it was turned over to them almost immediately because of the fact the Sheriff's Office had a deputy involved. They will turn over the information to the Jackson County Prosecuting Attorney's Office. That's Randy Dupree.
Okay.
He will decide if anything else needs to be done, as far as whether it was an understandable and legitimate act by the Sheriff's Office deputy, because there was no other shots fired. That was said by Sheriff Ted Frazier on the same day. Nobody else was injured. However, since that initial day, the search warrant did indicate that Mr. Beach was seen by a Jackson County Municipal Court probation officer with a hatchet and a handgun in his possession.
Yes.
So the deputy and others who breached that structure did believe that he was armed, and certainly potentially dangerous. So we shall see, but we are staying on it. I wanted to let you know that it isn't just something we have forgotten about.
Okay.
All right, another big criminal case. It came to the very end. This was in Vinton County, and this involved the former Vinton Township fiscal officer, whose legal name is Cy. C-Y. His name in the past was Cy Viestra.
Yes.
Till 2017. That's when he legally changed his name, but some people still know him by that name, but he goes by Cy. There was a sentencing in Vinton County Common Pleas Court this past Monday. And as a result of that, there is Mr. Viestra right there. Vinton Township is a small township in Vinton County that is just outside Wilkesville. As a matter of fact, Cy lives in Wilkesville or has a Wilkesville post office address. All right. Anyway, he was charged with essentially stealing, embezzling township funds for personal use, and also to help support his Union Ridge Wildlife Center, kind of like a wildlife sanctuary.
Yes,
I guess some people, you could buy tickets and go there and visit and have interaction with the animals and like that, we're told. But anyway, he had a 13-count indictment as a result of an investigation by the state auditor's office. This played out in Vinton County Common Pleas Court. Late last year, he pled guilty to 6 of the 13 charges in that indictment. The other 7 were dismissed as part of a plea agreement. The sentencing finally happened this past Monday. And the bottom line is, and it could have been more according to the letter of the law, but he was sentenced to 4 years and 11 months in prison. No fine. He has to pay court costs, but here's the big ticket item on the money. he has to pay restitution of $339,717.86.
Oh.
That represents, most of it represents the money that they say, that they claim was stolen from the township, over a period of time. The remaining amount, the balance between the 287 and the 339, is the cost of the special audit and the investigation that determined, that he had done this.
Yeah.
And so normally that would fall back on the township. And of course, the township turned out to be a victim here.
Yes.
And, that's a lot of money for a small township. So
Right.
that is how that was what was worked out. There's also going to be some items that will be seized from the property there, and they will be sold. I don't think it's animals, but they will be sold, and that will help compensate the township as well for the costs that they do have. They capped what the township has to pay, and Cy will have to pay the balance, and that is in that $339,000 figure.
So I just as a personal note, I've definitely met Cy several times. He was actually a guest on the show several years ago, talking about the wildlife sanctuary, and he would take in animals that were injured or whatever, help them help recover. And I'm curious because he had quite an extensive group of animals. What will become of them?
Okay, well, apparently there is a gentleman who helped him there, kind of like a main assistant, and I guess he is taking care of those animals now. There is an investigation going on by the Ohio Department of Agriculture now as a result of a
Which
complaint.
is a whole other story.
It's a whole different story. I
Yeah.
don't know whether that would have any criminal implications or not. Apparently, there are allegations that federal wildlife laws were broken as far as paperwork that has to be done, licenses you have to get, etc., and also unlawful interaction between some of the certain exotic animals there and the public, because that is part of what Cy apparently sold to tourists and visitors out there.
Correct. You're wondering though, I mean, so the obviously you're assuming that the money that was taken because he needed money for the animals.
Well, here is it's kind of here in one paragraph what the allegation is. It was determined that between January 2016 and July 2020, Cy used township debit and credit cards and issued checks on the township bank account for expenditures for his personal benefit, renovations to his residence, and to the nonprofit wildlife refuge that he operated called the Union Ridge Wildlife Center. And they figured out that it totaled up to $287,565.11. And it all started when the current Vinton County auditor, Cindy Wall, saw some things that she didn't think looked right. And it ended up being investigated by the state auditor's office, and then, the indictment followed. And this occurred over a period of years because the unlawful activity was as late as July 2020, and that's been 2.5 years. So, it took a while for all this to play out.
Yeah.
But the other 7 charges were dismissed. It isn't an ongoing case or anything. But the other situation involving Cy, that have been reported in the Telegram, we talked about it on television. It is a situation where PETA has filed a complaint, and they have asked the Ohio Department of Agriculture to investigate these allegations involving the animals that Cy took care of at the Wildlife Center. And the Ohio Department of Agriculture, are you ready for this? They say they are investigating, and no other information can be released at this time. And we checked again at the beginning of the week. That investigation is, are you ready? Active and ongoing.
Okay.
I say this just to let you know that we're trying. All right.
Yes, it's not funny, but
we're not investigators, and it is true. They shouldn't really say what happened and what didn't happen until they know for sure. exactly. But anyway, one of the allegations involves a chimpanzee named Tonka.
Yes.
That was supposedly it changed hands, and all the regulations that was supposed to happen with the Endangered Species Act did not happen.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of big old mess in there.
Right, and so PETA has asked him to ask the High Department of Agriculture, which does have jurisdiction over exotic animals and people keeping them as pets or whatever, or as part of a wildlife exhibit. They are investigating this, and so we will be following that as well.
Okay.
All right. So on the criminal justice front, this also broke this week. You remember when we reported, when was it? 2 or 3 months ago. Time flies. It's hard to keep track of. When a local man, Jason Atkins, was convicted as part of what was described as a $50 million Ponzi scheme.
Yes.
He wasn't the only person that was involved in this, and two other persons were indicted just this past week, both of them from Texas. John K. Eckert Jr., age 58 of Dallas, and Afif Batagli, age 45 of Houston. It is alleged that Eckert was the leader of a multi-state conspiracy that did involve Atkins, conspiring with previously convicted and sentenced defendant Jason Atkins, age 46, who has a Jackson address. Eckert Batagli, and others, Atkins included, orchestrated a $50 million Ponzi scheme that defrauded more than 50 investors.
Okay.
And the Ponzi scheme is where, just generically, without getting too much in depth, that's, where you invest in some sort of project that promises a big return, and you put money, and they say you're going to get more money later on. But that is where you use the money you got from somebody else for
to
your
pay.
own.
Yeah. And then
for your own thing, and then when you get
it goes on and for a while until the bottom
you don't.
falls out.
The bottom line is you don't use the money the way you're supposed to, and you're really not investing in anything. In this case, the product that was part of the Ponzi scheme was allegedly or reportedly off the road big tires that are used by construction equipment and so forth. But anyway, conspiracy to Eckerd. It is alleged that the defendants rarely bought or sold these tires, and when they did, they used the same tires as the basis for multiple deals. They promised multiple investors that they each owned the same tires, and Battaglia allegedly used his employer's tire yard to deceive investors. So they said, hey, listen, you're going to buy these tires, and we're going to sell them at a really high price, and you're going to get the profit.
Like a whole lot of money.
Right.
Yeah.
And so that story hopefully is online here on the telegramnews.com, our website, and hopefully will be in our print edition on Saturday. And once again, the local connection is that Jason Atkins, a Jackson County resident, was indicted and convicted earlier in that case. So, my guess is there may be some local investors who
I'd say so.
Right. Okay. Another thing that happened on the law enforcement front, it's come and gone, but it caused a little bit of excitement earlier this week on Wednesday afternoon. A call came in to Arby's roast beef. They're on Main Street.
How do you pick on Arby's? Arby's is wonderful.
Well,
love Arby's.
Mid-afternoon, 2:17 p.m., a male caller called and simply said, I'm going to blow this place up. Okay, so, what do you do? Well, you call the police.
Yeah.
Yeah, the police came out, no fire or anything like that. They did a very quick search. The staff had already kind of looked around. No person was there making the threat. This was all on the telephone. It was figured that it was probably just a prank type thing, but you never know. So the police came, they did a quick search, didn't turn up anything. They never closed, didn't evacuate or anything like that. I know you would think that maybe that would happen. It would happen at a school or something like that with a lot of people, but they didn't do that. And they determined after a quick search and listening to what, the caller said, they determined it was unfounded. I don't know. I don't think they determined who it was that made the call.
Well, I was going to say,
or at least as of that day, they had not.
In today's day and age, it would be really hard to hide where you're calling from. So I would have to think that they would figure that out eventually.
Right, with the electronics and so forth,
Like it's pretty hard to hide that now.
It is true. You hear about the threats or the bomb threats or whatever, especially when they happen like at a school, because so many people are involved in like that. And this has been true. The last several times that this has happened, maybe not every time, but multiple times now, they have been able to determine who made that call. With the way with the way the electronics are and the tracing and all like that, and cell phones especially, being able to trace where they came from and like that. And so it's not as safe to make those prank calls, even if you're just trying to get attention or cause trouble.
Now, let's all be honest. We all did a prank call from a payphone at one point or another, did we not?
Not to Arby's. Not to a school. I'm
Dylan, are you going to say what's a payphone? Because I know he's going to say what's a payphone.
I do know what a payphone is.
You do?
Yeah, but I've never made a prank call to any business or anything.
I'm pretty boring. I'm not sure I've done it either.
You never called anyone randomly and asked them if their refrigerator was running?
No.
Oh my.
What?
Is your refrigerator running?
I think so.
Better go catch it.
Okay.
Oh, come on. What were the other ones that we used to do? Remember Bart Simpson called the bar and asked for Amanda hug and kiss?
Can I tell a story on Red, Pete?
Okay, he's probably listening.
He's like, I've got news to do. You
I'm sorry. This just made me laugh so much. So I asked Red yesterday afternoon. I was like, "Well, you weren't the one that was threatening Arby's, were you?" He goes, "No, but I'm mad at Subway." He did not elaborate.
So look out, Dylan.
Look out, Red's got it out
Red's
for Subway.
mad at you.
Again.
Okay, I tell you what, James is building a case if Subway gets a call. There is no doubt.
You heard it here first.
We'll make sure
it wasn't
gets
me,
his work
but
done before he gets hauled off for questioning.
Oh God. Okay, sorry about that. We digress. But no, prank calls don't do it. In today's age, my point was we used to call stupid stuff from payphones and no one knew who it was because it was a payphone. But now they don't exist anymore.
Well, two things. We already have established that, it's much easier to get caught.
Yes.
When you do this, even though you think you made a short call, you hung up. Okay, now you wait and see what happens and get your jollies from that. But here's the deal: if they find out who you are, you're almost certainly going to be charged.
Oh yeah,
because you
it's
shouldn't
not
have
funny.
done it. And inducing panic is often the charge, and it can be a felony. And so you're talking about maybe wrecking, especially a young person maybe playing a joke. You're talking about maybe wrecking your life, not being able to get a job.
Yeah, it's a big deal.
Which is very hard in today's market right now,
You're
not to be able to get a
to
job.
not be able to get a job.
But it's possible. Oh, let's see. You did a prank call and you got charged with inducing panic. Next, So, you really got to think about the implications and the ramifications of what you think is a joke. Yep.
And it's, don't mess around with that. It's not funny.
Right. So. Well, we had another case come through Jackson County Common Pleas Court very recently. Our associate editor, Philip Buffing, does a great job keeping up with the court stuff, reported on this. Do you remember the fire back in February 2020 in Glenroy?
I do.
Where a young child was caught in the house when it caught fire and could not get out. An older child did get out, a toddler, but a 3-year-old boy did not get out. Anyway, the mother of that child, Tawny Brewer, was indicted, had some very serious charges filed against her as she was held responsible in some way. Some of the details have never really come out. It was investigated by the state fire marshal's office. But anyway, she was held responsible for having her child in the house, not being able to get him out or whatever.
Right.
And so this went through court for some time. Finally, this occurred just in the last month. There was a plea bargain, and she ended up she was charged with involuntary homicide, involuntary manslaughter, I'm sorry, reckless homicide, and 2 counts of endangering children. But what happened was she ended up pleading to just 1 charge, and she ended up getting 2 years in prison. There was all sorts of pre-sentence investigations and whatever, and Judge Chris Reagan made that determination. And obviously, at some point, when they, did a lot of review, they figured that maybe it was as serious as they thought as far as her responsibility for what happened. It would be horrible to lose a child that way. But she was not there when it happened, but she was nearby. And when the firefighters arrived, she was obviously hysterical outside. And, like I say, an older boy was able to escape, and he had very serious 3rd-degree burns, but he did survive. But
just a horrible
she ended up
situation.
pleading to a 3rd-degree felony reckless homicide, with the other counts, the involuntary manslaughter, the more serious charge, being dismissed.
Okay.
The involuntary manslaughter charge indicates that even though you didn't mean for anybody to die, that your actions contributed to that death through your negligence or your actions or whatever.
Sure, absolutely.
And so they decided to let that one be dismissed. All right. Another thing that happened just on Wednesday, and we're going to be seeing evidence of what happened here in the next several months, the land bank, the Jackson County Land Bank, had a meeting. It was their first meeting of the year, and it was an important one. 30 demolition projects throughout the county. We're talking about $750,000 total is what they started with. They did a handful of demolition projects late in the year, but we're talking about bidding out 30 projects all over the county, including some major commercial buildings. They did not award the contracts yet, but they opened the bids, and they know what the figures are. It's going to be reviewed by a consultant, the county's consultant, and if everything is according to Hoyle, the low bidder will, I'm sure, get contracts or get a contract or plural contracts to do some of these demolition projects. Among the projects that are involved in this round of demolitions is the Louis Theater in downtown Wellston. On Ohio Avenue, of course, it's been in the news quite a bit. It was in the news in Wellston City Council last month.
Yes.
The owners are Steve and Melissa Hammond of MacArthur, very prominent in Vinton County. They have strong family ties to Wellston. It was their desire after they purchased the building to see it renovated and restored and turned into something like a community center, performing arts center, maybe along the lines of the Marquet.
Similar
maybe
to the
not quite
Marquet.
as elaborate, but see it live on and have a useful life or whatever. Well, the problem was getting the money to do it, a lot of money to fix it up and then to turn it into what they wanted to do. And they weren't able to get that money. They reluctantly agreed because of the condition of the building. It's not unsafe, but, it doesn't even have a roof on it. It's not unsafe or anything. The city, if nothing's going to happen with it, they would like to see it demolished. But, there's the money situation. Well, the land bank, all this state money comes in. Now they can do projects like that.
Right.
So the city said, if you're not going to be able to fix it up, allow us to put it on the list. And the Hammonds did do that. They signed a release saying, but they still made it clear that they did not want that to happen. Because when word got out, hey, this is going to happen very soon, the demolition, some citizens in Wellston came forward, and this was aired at the Wellston City Council meeting, can't we save the Louis? Well, a lot of people say that, but there's got to be a lot of dollars behind it to make it happen. And right now, they aren't there. So unless something miraculous happens, the Louis will probably come down in the first half of the year. The projects are supposed to be done. And this is another problem. The grant says the projects are supposed to be done by May or the end of May.
Of this year?
Yes, but contracts have not even been awarded yet.
Yikes.
But that'll probably happen quickly, and it's how quickly. They may be able to get an extension on that. They think they can, but right now the demolitions will have to occur pretty quickly. Let me ask you this, Jennifer, because I know you've been in business and you've had demolition projects and you had building projects and so forth. What do you think the going low bid is to demolish that big building in Wellston, the Louis? What do you think that would cost?
The
to take
Louis
down?
Theater?
Yes.
What the low bid would be?
Yes. What would you guess? for that?
65,000.
Okay. The bid for the Louis was $27,000.
Oh.
And that was, the high bid was $129,500. There isn't anything close to $27,000.
Who was that?
That would be Harry
Harry.
Sutcliffe. Harry Sutcliffe, who has done a
Yeah.
lot of demolition projects in Jackson County and in Vinton County.
Yeah.
And he's
Harry's a character.
okay, well, he bid on it, and his is the low bid. And if they look at everything, and all the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed,
The one
and the
thing I
bonds
will
and
say
everything are there.
about that building is where it sits on the corner. It wouldn't be as hard to get to as if you were, tearing down in between two buildings.
I think there's not a lot of room between that and the building on the other side of the corner,
but you have a little space,
a little
but
bit.
I don't.
And they don't have to worry. They don't have to worry about taking out the roof.
If Harry wants to do that for 27,000, more power to you, buddy.
All right. Two other buildings that are worth noting that are on the list are King's Pool Hall, which is just down the street from the Louis in Wellston on 2nd Street. Now, that building is in pretty bad shape, and they've even roped that off some time ago to keep people away from it. And the third building here in Jackson, across from the Jackson County Sheriff's Office, is the former bail bonds building.
Yes.
Right, and there it is, a very familiar building. Of course, not used now, in very bad shape.
That was an asbestos situation, wasn't it?
I'm not exactly sure on that. I know that part of the demolition process is they have to know ahead of time about asbestos, because that's an extra thing to do, and that costs extra money, and it takes extra time. So I'm not sure about whether asbestos is an issue at this building. But to the right there, you see some empty space. That's where the old Michael's Ice Cream building used to be, there on the corner of Portsmouth and Water Street. So that'll be two major buildings coming down. Rumor is not established, but been repeated quite often, that this may become a parking lot if the county gets a hold of it.
I would have to think that would be a very good use of that space for parking for all of our community and county and all of that. Yeah.
Right, and and some of these,
it would make sense.
Some of these that where the properties are involved, it goes to the owner. In other cases, the owner may want to sell the property. In some cases, it may become public property.
Yes.
But I know the county. This is certainly a candidate for county spaces. It is right across from the sheriff's office and right next to another smaller parking lot.
Well, and the problem with some of these buildings and whatnot is not only the getting. Just in my experience, it's not only necessarily the getting the thing torn down, but it's the legality of who owns it, and then how the land bank acquires it, and then who it goes to after, and so on and so forth. There's a whole lot involved with each and every one of those properties. Mm-hmm. So everybody just thinks, oh, you just tear them down and that's good, but there's so much more to it than that, and they have to work so hard and do so much behind the scenes stuff. So it's a lot, but it's also a very good program because there's a lot of buildings that need to come down.
And everybody knows that. And in some cases, the problem is, it's private property. You just can't go down and take it unless it's unsafe. And then that's a process too.
And I understand, like some buildings like the Louis, there's that personal, it's a community building and people, may want to save it, or there's emotions involved in that. And then others, it's it just needs to come down because it's not safe.
Right. Of course, Mayor Charlie Hudson recently resigned, but I know that his thought was, and this may be also the opinion of Service Director Brenner, who has now recently been appointed as Mayor Brenner. I know that their thought was it would make a nice parking space, nice parking lot.
For
of course,
the downtown.
Some people on social media jumped on there and, can't we do better than a parking lot? So, a lot of opinions obviously out there.
Well, you know what opinions are like.
Right. Okay. But what are they like?
Belly buttons.
Okay. All right. I gotcha. Okay.
We all have those.
Okay. Yeah. We're talking about building things up in Wellston too. This issue came before Wellston City Council at the last meeting, and we reported on it in the Telegram and on our website, of course. Something potentially exciting. New housing just outside Wellston. Frontier Community Services, which is out of Chillicothe. It is a non-profit organization that provides community-based residential and other assistive and support services to the elderly, as well as persons of all ages with developmental disabilities. They have complexes in other towns in our area. They want to build a housing complex there across from where the Splashdown Water Park is. There was a proposal to do that before by somebody else that kind of fell through, but the property is still out there. And what they need, though, is they need sewer service. That is a little bit outside the city of Wellston. But what they would like to do is hook up with the city of Wellston. And behind the scenes, this was a potential thing that was happening with the Charlie Hudson administration. Well, of course, Charlie no longer in there. Brenner was part of the administration, but a representative of Frontier Community Services came to the last Wellston City Council meeting to let the council know firsthand that they want to do this, seeking the city's support for a sewer hookup.
Okay.
And so if the council goes through with this, and right now there was no opposition to it, it's just figuring out, the costs involved and making it work and all like that. And, they could become new sewer customers for the city of Wellston. It is possible because of the proximity to the city limits. It could become annexed into the city of Wellston at one time. But this would provide lots of housing for the elderly. This would be senior housing, 46 senior housing units.
Wow.
In an area that is called Harvest Crossing. That's what it was called when they were going to do a subdivision there before. It's on State Route 327, south of Berlin, across from where the Splashdown Water Park is. And there's a possibility that if this goes through, it has not been approved yet. If it goes through, they are talking about building a smaller housing complex on land next to it. So you're talking about lots of senior citizens housing, or maybe the second unit wouldn't be senior citizens housing. It could be something else, but it would be Frontier Community Services.
Okay.
And there's local developers and realtors that are involved in this too. And they were very nicely asking Wellston City Council, can we go ahead with this? We've already done a lot of engineering and architectural work.
Right.
And like this, we want to start construction as soon as this summer, but we need sewer. Is this going to happen?
Sewer.
They felt it was going to happen for sure before, but now with not a new administration, but a new mayor, they just wanted to come and be seen by council. So it could be, according to Mayor Anthony Brenner, he indicated that he does continue to support the project. He doesn't feel the city would benefit greatly financially, but he feels it would be a good thing for Wellston and for the county to provide this housing. And it is true that it could be annexed later into the city of Wellston. So that will be a big story that will be playing out in the coming meetings.
Great.
I know that FCS, Frontier Community Services, hopes to get a tangible commitment from the city of Wellston to extend the sewer.
Okay.
All right, we have in the upward and outward category, Taylor Stepp, well-known Jackson resident.
Yay, Taylor!
Got a major promotion.
Whoop,
There he
whoop,
is.
whoop, whoop.
He looks happy. He reminds me of the Spectrum guy. That says, "In your second line is free." But anyway, he is
Taylor's awesome.
He is a hustler, a climber, and he has done such good work with Ohio Southeast Economic Development.
Yep.
That is the regional arm of Jobs Ohio.
Yes.
And he has been in charge of some in Jackson and Vinton counties and some other nearby counties, being the front man on, working with the state and local people on economic development projects. Well, his new job will be Director of Projects for all of Ohio SEO. And in that role, he will lead Ohio's SE team of project managers, that's what he was before, in a 25-county region that covers not only southeastern Ohio, but also parts of eastern Ohio. The project management team works to secure capital investments and job creation and retention through company expansions and business attraction in southeastern Ohio.
Yeah.
And Taylor, Jackson High School graduate, grew up in Jackson. Stan and Bren Stepp are his parents, we know. Anyway, when he was at Ohio State University, some people may not remember this, he was actually the student body president.
He was.
And how many students go to Ohio State? He was the student body president, I think, for at least a year.
Crazy.
Right. And so right out of college, he was, a regional rep for former state representative Ryan Smith.
Yes.
And so that kind of got him his start. I don't know whether he'll go into politics directly someday, but I tell you what, he's got a very important job now in
He's
the
a
economic
shining
development
star,
department.
and he has plenty of a future for himself.
Right. Well, congratulations to Taylor Stepp. Also, kind of like a parallel story that came out at the same time, dealing with economic development, it was announced that the Jackson County Economic Development Partnership was named the top business retention and expansion program in Southern Ohio.
Woo!
And, you're talking about, competition among a lot of county level
Yeah.
economic development offices. And so
That's not, you're not kidding.
they were named the top in this whole region. And so congratulations certainly go out to
Way to go,
Sam Brady,
guys.
President and CEO. Amanda Williams is there. And the former director, Jennifer Jacobs, still helps out a good bit. And so congratulations to all them. Mike Jacoby, who is the president and CEO of Ohio SEO, said this: the Jackson County Economic Development Partnership and Sam Brady's commitment to business retention and expansion has been critical in Jackson County's tremendous track record of success over the last few years. Sam Brady said, he was quoted in this story, "It's an honor for our outreach efforts to be celebrated by Ohio SE. The relationships we have forged over the years have afforded the opportunity to get to know and better yet understand some exceptional companies and people. Our real pride is the service we are allowed to provide to our job creators." Love it when these stories come out because the economic development efforts are often behind the scenes. You don't know what's going on. It isn't all about getting some company to come in with 300 jobs. There's a lot of smaller stuff that goes on as well.
It's like eating the elephant, one bite at a time. It's like a lot of times it's little projects that make one big, impact in an area.
Right. Well, and one of the economic development professionals told me at one time, I even forget who it was now, that their most important job is working with a lot of the small employers to keep what they have and support so they can keep going and maybe move ahead a little bit.
Or help them
and
expand a little bit.
Give them help, resources, advice, counseling, money that they wouldn't have on their own.
I can tell you they've been very, very integral in helping us with the brewery and giving us some hints along the way and stuff like that. So yeah, couldn't be more grateful and they are so deserving of that award.
Right. Well, they are out there and they're there to help. They are great at outreach, but if you're in business or industry, or you're a possible new entrepreneur, you need to talk to them on the front end.
Absolutely. And they may say, you don't fit within anything. Cool. But you don't get the sale unless you ask, right, Pete?
That's exactly right. So much is out there now that is supposed to help create jobs. That's what government, that's part of what government tries to do. It's on the private side, these businesses, but the government can help.
Yes.
And Jobs Ohio seems to be doing a great job. That was started by former Governor John Kasich, kind of a odd duck in that it isn't technically government, but it's created by government.
Yes.
Right. Okay.
It's kind of, well,
it's called a public-private partnership.
It's the best of both worlds because it's created by government, but not controlled really by government.
Right. Yeah. A lot of private sector. Yeah. Input
Keep
in that.
the politicians out of it.
Right. Okay.
Sorry, I said that. You didn't.
Okay. Right. All right. The Jackson County Juvenile Court has celebrated recently receiving a $20,000 pro-social activities grant.
Oh, cool.
And this Judge Justin Skaggs was very excited about this and what this $20,000 is doing, because this has been going on for some time, actually. As a result of this $20,000, the local Jackson County Juvenile Court entered into an agreement with Stargazy's Equine Therapy Pony Club, which is located on Fairgreens Road. And what it does is it has some of these troubled youth who are, court clients, and it gives them a constructive thing to do.
Yes.
And that is always the goal of the juvenile court. It is not necessarily punishment. It is rehabilitation.
Sure.
The idea is to straighten out the kids who have gotten into some trouble and need some help and direction. You know, Judge Michael was so passionate about that.
He was.
And I know Judge Skaggs is equally as passionate.
Yes.
And this is a grant that is allowing them to work with stargazies to help local youth. You know, they learn some things. It keeps them busy. And the idea is a constructive activity that will help them get on the right path.
Yes.
And I understand that it has been working very well.
Good.
And that's something, you know, once again, because of the nature of it, you don't hear about because, of course, you know, the names of juveniles are never released or whatever. But there is, like economic development, good work going on behind the scenes.
Good.
Okay. Another thing that's going on that we want to tell you about is at the last meeting of the Jackson City Council, it was announced by Jackson Mayor Randy Evans that a tentative agreement had been reached between the city and the Teamsters Union that represents the unionized members of the Jackson Police Department.
Okay.
And this was done without outside labor negotiators representing the city, or from what I understand, even Teamsters representatives. This was done by local negotiators on both sides. So
Good.
it saved some money. They came to an agreement. But the bottom line is they are going to be a major boost in pay to road officers because the Jackson Police Department, like of other law enforcement agencies, having trouble attracting and retaining officers. So in this 3-year contract, road officers will receive a $3 an hour increase in the first year.
Awesome.
This takes effect in September, and then 2% year 2 and 2% in year 3. Communications officers who are also under this contract will receive 3% the first year, 2% the second year, and 2% the third year. Mayor Evans said that even though they have tried to refill some of the positions that had to be laid off or when retirements took effect, when the money got tight here 2 or 3 years ago, they are still too short right now. You know, there's lots of comings and goings. They have lost some veteran officers to other law enforcement agencies that paid more. I know one's gone to the Chillicothe Police Department, one's gone to the Ross County Sheriff's Office. One went and even came back. But they hope that this pay level will help attract and retain officers for the Jackson Police Department.
Great.
Now that's been approved by the Teamsters Union, you know, the local rank and file, has not been approved by Jackson City Council, but it's just going through the 3 readings process and it appears on track to be approved.
Okay.
All right. Up Vinton County way, some transition taking place at the Vinton County Board of Developmental Disabilities.
Okay.
A man who had worked for a long time in the field and also in Vinton County, John Pekar, recently retired. And there is John.
Okay.
He retired and he has been replaced by a man who is now on duty. His name is Dr. David Uhl, U-H-L. And there he is right there.
Okay.
He is the Nick Elliott of Jackson County, I guess you could say. Nick Elliott in charge of Hope Haven and the Jackson County Board of Developmental Disabilities.
Absolutely.
Same job that Dr. David Uhl has now. In our Saturday paper, which you'll be out on the newsstands maybe late tonight or early tomorrow morning and be delivered to subscribers by mail tomorrow if you're in Jackson or Vinton counties, it has stories about both John Pekar and Dr. David Uhl, kind of like a package there. Reviewing John Pekar's career, his remarks about working in Vinton County, and also kind of like a moving forward story with Dr. David Uhl about his taking that leadership executive position with the Vinton County Department of Developmental Disabilities.
Okay.
Once again, very important work that often takes place
Very
behind
much.
the scenes.
Absolutely.
All right, another story that we had in our Wednesday paper, a very nice story written by Jeremiah Shaver, with the contributions photographically speaking by Red Thompson Jr. Certainly go back and read this if you're interested in it. If you've driven through Coalton, you probably notice a lot of construction and excavation taking place along the streets and the smaller streets, even State Route 93, the main drag through town.
Yes.
That they're not fixing the roads, they're installing sanitary sewer lines.
That's right.
This is a 3-phase project. They're in phase 2 now, and not trying to confuse you, but they did phase 3 first.
Yes.
Right. Phase 2 is going on, and there you see the big construction equipment. You know, now they're doing some digging up. You know, they've torn up the road in places. They're on private property, but they got to put in these sewer lines. They promised They'll restore things the way they're supposed to, but it's all supposed to be worth it. You're talking about, with all the money coming in, you're talking about nearly a $7 million project, $6.7 million between the grants
Wow.
and the no interest loans that are coming in. And once again, the phase 2, which is the third and final phase of the project, taking place right now. When it's all done, I mean, there's been sewer service in Coalton, but it's kind of strange. They have a sewer plant, but they've had septic tanks for the individual properties. So, the septic tanks, how that works. They need to be pumped.
They're a pain in the
They need to be pumped, and
rear,
sometimes
literally.
they need to be repaired
Yeah.
and replaced, and that was
Yep.
on the village because
Yep.
it was a municipal system.
Yep.
Well, and it was problems for the residents too, because it's a little bit out of their control. But now, when this is done, they won't have to use the septic tanks anymore. They will have sanitary sewer service, which means, the sewage is running through lines to the sewer plant. So
Very good.
that taking place right now, $6.7 million in the village of Coalton.
That's one of those progress things. It's a pain in the rear end, pun intended again, for, the residents and whatever right now, but it's going to be so nice when it's all finished.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, moving on. Speaking of government, this announcement just came out this morning for those folks who have interest in the Wellston City Schools and the Wellston City Board of Education, which runs things, along with the superintendent and the administration. Their regular meeting, which is always on the second Monday of the month, that would be this coming Monday, they have moved that to Tuesday. So if you're interested, it's 7 p.m. and it will be held at the administration office. No meeting on Monday night as usual. It will be on Tuesday night. Also, they have changed the meeting time in Wellston. Instead of 7:30, it is now 7 o'clock.
Okay.
So a lot of times, the public may be interested in attending those meetings. The Jackson County Engineer's Office also reports that a section of 5 Points Road is going to be closed for a while. That will start on Monday, Jennifer.
Okay.
They do multiple pipe replacements need to be done in a section on 5 Points Road near Petersburg Road, 0.8 of a mile out from Petersburg Road. I think that's one of the end points of 5 Points Road, Petersburg Road. About a mile, 0.8 of a mile is where this work will take place.
Gotcha.
Engineer Miller expects the road to be closed for approximately 1 week, and it will depend on the weather, how
that's not
quickly
too
they
bad.
can get it done. But that starts on Monday. So, you locals that drive that section of road, you
Yeah.
have to find another way around. All right, in the city of Wellston, they've announced 2 public meetings as well. On the 13th at 5 p.m., the Finance Committee will meet, and on Thursday, the 16th, the Planning Committee will meet. That Planning Committee meeting will be 1 hour before the start of the regular council meeting, but it's also on Thursday evening at 7 o'clock. Okay, there's always lots of interest in this, Jennifer, from some of the entities that are interested in getting tourism money.
Yes.
The Jackson Visitors and Conventions Commission, that is a city committee. It's a 3-member commission. It will meet its first meeting of the year on Monday, February 27th at 10 a.m. That will take place in the Jackson City Council chambers there by the police department.
Yes.
This is an opportunity for individuals, entities, groups, organizations to seek tourism money. This is city money, but it's funneled into a special fund that has to be used for tourism.
For tourism.
Broadly
stuff.
tourism, that could be a lot of things. You can interpret a lot of things, but that's what the money has to be used for. And it comes from the so-called bed tax that is collected
Right.
at the local motels and inns.
Correct.
And so this 3-member group decides how that money is spent. They don't necessarily spend it all at once, but you have to make an application. You can go to the meetings and make a pitch there too. They may decide, they may say have certain money that they're going to award immediately, or they'll sit and think about it and have another meeting and tell you who they're going to give money to. But if you want to make an application, and the idea is to attract tourists and visitors to the city of Jackson and surrounding areas, you need to get a form, an application, complete it, and turn it into the mayor's office no later than Friday, February 24th. That is
Okay.
2 weeks from today, I believe.
You got time.
You need to get the form and turn it in. I don't think that precludes you from asking for money, but they have it in front of them and they know why you're there.
Yes.
And if you have the application, you don't necessarily have to be there either.
Yeah. But it's better if you're there.
Right. Well, you can.
In case they have any questions.
Right. You can ask questions and so forth. All right. We have a new exhibit in place now at the Marquette Cultural Arts Center, and I understand it is very interesting. It is photography by Robert Orth.
Okay.
Robert Orth he is right there. James Hamilton, who I'm the board member there, he's always real supportive of the Marquette. He took that picture. And James, I tell you what, you know a little bit about photography. Tell us about what Robert Orth has there.
So it's not just photography. A lot of it is photography, but there's also
Hey, James, I like your sweatshirt.
Oh, I like your sweatshirt too, Jen.
Thanks.
But yeah, so it's a lot of different things. So that's to his right. That's a charcoal drawing. There are also several photographs in there, but probably the most interesting thing about this show is it's not just Robert's work. It's mostly Robert's work, but it also features some of his other family members.
Oh,
his
really?
wife Patricia has one piece in it, and two of his grandchildren also have some pieces in it.
Cool.
And so it's a fun collection. There's quite a few pieces. This is over 30 pieces in the show, and it is a lot of different media. So it's definitely worth checking out. Another thing that's kind of interesting is Robert's been doing this for a long time. So some of these pieces are pretty old. So some of this work, he did in the 70s. So it's things that are like 50 years old now. So in you can kind of tell like the paper is kind of aged and things like that.
Did he just say the 70s were 50 years old? He had to go there, didn't he? Go ahead.
I remember the 70s.
Yeah, me too. Go ahead.
It is what it is, Jennifer. I don't.
Salt in the
I'm
wound,
not Father
James.
Time.
That's when the music died. My God.
Right.
But yeah, so the show is on display through the end of February, and it's really neat. So come check it out during regular hours.
Yes.
Or you could come check it out during the Apple City Players performance of The Mousetrap,
Yes.
which is coming up the last week of February.
Cool.
Right, and the Marquette hours, if you're just going to the gallery and there's no other events going on, it's 12 to 5, Tuesday through Saturday. Of course, admission is free of charge. You never have to worry about paying if you're just looking at the pictures. And, as James said, in addition to the photography, there is charcoal, colored pencil, and ceramics.
Yes.
All involved in that
So
exhibit.
cool.
So, very good. Tomorrow, there's going to be a ribbon cutting for a new business in Wellston. It's called Wiseman's Boutique. And that ribbon cutting, they're having a grand opening, kind of like all day from 10 to 5 p.m., a grand opening celebration. A ribbon cutting will take place a ribbon cutting will take place at noon. So if you want to be there for that and meet some people, photo op, I know our Jeremiah Shaver will be there. It's always exciting when there's a new business, Wiseman's Boutique. And of course, we'll be following up with a story to tell you exactly what they have to offer.
Great.
All right. We also want to tip our cap to the new assistant branch manager at the Jackson County Banking Center. Amy Willis is a Jackson High School graduate.
Yep.
And she is the new assistant branch manager there. So congratulations to her. We had that story in the paper as well. Also, Hug Your Heart Day is going on today, very soon.
It is.
At the Parks Edge Event Center.
11 to 2.
And, I mean, you want to talk about a feel-good event. That is one. I tell you, the senior citizens that go to that, and it's a big turnout, We're past all the COVID stuff now, it seems like.
Let's party.
So that's exactly what it is. It's a love fest for the seniors. And a lot of they not only have fun, they can get a lot of helpful information there.
Yep.
There's health screenings.
Free.
Yeah, there's people there to give them advice and information that have to do with their lives. There's
free food,
there's free lunch, free entertainment. And
you get to dance.
Yeah, I remember the Hug Your Heart Day. Shadra Jenkins. This is a YMCA event that's now at the Parks Edge Event Center.
Yes.
Laura Baker and Curtis.
Flo.
Yep. Yeah, I always keep forgetting her name. They're kind of the wheels, but they get a lot of support from the community through this to get all these donations and people working to make it happen.
Yep.
And I remember when Shadra Jenkins was the YMCA director, it was literal. She hugged every person that came in. And that's what it's about. It's a feel-good thing as well as a service thing.
It is such a good
All right.
event.
Not a lot of time to tell you about this, but if you're into a tree hugging competition, there's going to be one this Saturday at the Lake Hope State Park.
Wait, what?
A tree hugging competition. that will involve speed hugging, the biggest hug, most dedicated hug, and freestyle. But you hug trees, I guess. No pre-registration is necessary. Just show up.
Sounds fun.
It's an eco-friendly event from 10 a.m. to noon at the Lake Hope State Park. And, of course, you can eat at that great Lake Hope restaurant as well when you're up there.
So cool up there.
All right, and we want to also tell you that the Jackson Area YMCA now is hosting birthday parties and special events. They haven't done that before, so just give them a call.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to give you more information next week about the alumni. We can tell you that the Jackson High School Alumni Committee has had their first meeting. There's definitely going to be a program this year where the classes of 70, 71, 72, and 73 will be in the spotlight. They're being 50-year anniversary classes. They haven't had this event the last 3 years. That's why there's 4 classes in the spotlight. And it appears, we didn't think this was going to happen. It appears that there's going to be an event called The Happening after, a big party. It looks like it's going to be in the Rosa's banquet room down there in the basement afterwards. Still working out the details, but the tentative plans are to go forward with that.
All right.
All right,
good.
basketball, lots of basketball going on. Congratulations to the Vinton County Vikings last night. Big rivalry game at Jackson. The Vikings came down to Jackson. The Vikings have a great record. They're going for a TVC Ohio Championship tonight. The Jackson Ironmen have a young team, but they were playing so much better. But Vinton County really showed their stuff. They defeated our Ironmen 69-47 last night.
Oof.
A great win. Big crowd from both schools
I'll bet.
and communities were there. And so, we'll have a report on that game in our Saturday paper. Todd Compton and Red Thompson Jr. were there. We have some stuff on our Facebook page already. Have a picture on our website, more in-depth coverage in the paper. And then coming up starting next week is the girls tournament. And then the week after that, the boys tournament. All of our local teams will be involved, and the radio will be there at every daggone game to cover it.
There you go. Out and about.
And they're
in
all,
your spare time,
and
right?
they're all streamed.
Yes.
They're all streamed.
They are.
So I've done all the damage I can do. It's 10:01 p.m.
Very good.
10:01 p.m., 47, 48, 49.
A.M.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Either way.
Okay. It seems like a long
PM. It seems like I've been here all night. All right. Well, listen, is the weather still in the mid 50 or mid low 50s this weekend, Dylan? Do you have that pulled up? Yeah, not looking too bad. So today 48, tomorrow 45, and Sunday 50, Monday 54. Hey, we'll take that. Oh, look at Wednesday and Thursday.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
What?
But you know what?
We'll
Whenever you have those days in the winter where it's unseasonably warm, you know that you're going to get wind and rain with it. You're not going to get just a plain sunny day, but we'll take it.
Hey, we'll take it. It's A-okay with me. All right. Well, have a wonderful weekend, everybody. Get out to Hug Your Heart Day today, 11 to 2 at Park's Edge. And have a great weekend doing some of the games and all the other news stuff. And thank you for coming in today.
That's all right. Glad to do it.
Greatly appreciate you. All right. Have a wonderful weekend. Thanks for watching. And we'll see you right back here on Monday. Bye-bye, everyone.
This just in.
The Telegram News has a new website,
thetelegram.news.com.
Same dedicated coverage.
Same trustworthy news with a brand new look.
Covering Jackson and Vinton counties and surrounding areas.
Locally owned and operated, thetelegram.news.com has its finger on the pulse of the community.
Stay up to date on local events, high school sports, and breaking news.
thetelegram.news.com.
Subscribe today at thetelegram.news.com.
Check it out.